Cassie learned to measure her days in quiet victories. Some were small, making coffee without flinching at the hiss of the machine, stepping outside without scanning every rooftop, sleeping more than 3 hours at a stretch. Others felt enormous, like the morning she walked past a construction site and didn't drop to the pavement when a board slammed against the concrete. But peace, real peace, still felt like something that belonged to someone else. That Tuesday started like most of her better days did. The sky was pale and open, the kind of soft California blue that didn't demand anything from you. Cassie laced up her worn running shoes, though she hadn't run in months, and stepped out onto the sidewalk. She told herself it was just a walk, no pressure, no expectations. Her neighborhood in Orangevale was quiet at that hour. Lawns trimmed, sprinklers ticking, the distant hum of traffic that never quite went away. She kept her hands loose at her side, eyes forward but aware. Always aware. It was halfway down Maple Drive that she saw him, a yellow lab. He was ambling along the sidewalk like he owned it, head low, tail swaying lazily, no leash. No person in sight. His coat caught the sunlight, golden, almost glowing, and for a moment Cassie just watched him. Her first instinct was caution, loose dog, unknown variables. But he didn't look dangerous. He looked lost. "Hey there," she said, her voice softer than she expected. The dog stopped. He lifted his head and looked at her, ears perked, eyes warm and curious. Then, with a gentle wag of his tail, he trotted toward her like they'd known each other for years. Cassie felt something in her chest loosen. "Where'd you come from?" she murmured, crouching slightly. The lab didn't hesitate. He walked right up to her and leaned his head into her hand. The contact was immediate and grounding, solid, real. She froze for a second, not out of fear, but because it had been a long time since something had touched her without triggering a storm in her nerves. But nothing came. No flash of heat, no rush of panic, no sudden need to pull away, just warmth. She let her fingers move through his fur. It was soft and clean, well cared for. "You're somebody's dog," she said quietly. The lab huffed softly, as if in agreement. Cassie glanced up and down the street. No one running, no one calling, no open gates. "You lost?" The dog simply stayed close, tail wagging, steady and calm. Cassie stood slowly. "Well, I guess you can walk with me." He did. When she reached her house 20 minutes later, she paused at the door. "You can't come in," she told him. The lab sat. Just like that, calm, patient, watching her. Cassie stared at him. "Seriously?" she said, one brow lifting. He tilted his head. She let out a breath that almost turned into a laugh. "I don't even know your name." The dog thumped his tail against the concrete. Cassie looked around again. Still no one. "Okay," she said finally, "you wait here." She went inside, closed the door, stood there with her hand still on the knob, and then she realized something. It was quiet. Too quiet. Her house had always felt that way, empty in a way that echoed, like the walls held on to silence too tightly, like for every room there was something waiting that never came. But now it felt different, because there was something on the other side of the door, waiting for her. Cassie turned back and opened it. The lab was still there, still sitting, still watching her. And when their eyes met, his tail started wagging again, faster this time. She exhaled slowly. "All right," she said, "just for a bit." She checked for a collar. There was one, but no tag. She posted online, called the local shelter, left messages. Nothing. By the end of the first day, the lab had settled into her house like he belonged there. He followed her from room to room, but never crowded her. When she sat, he lay nearby. When she moved, he gave her space. He didn't startle easily. He didn't bark at every noise. And somehow, she couldn't explain how, he seemed to understand when she needed quiet. That first night, Cassie hadn't planned on letting him stay in the room. But when the shadows stretched long and the familiar tension crept in, the tightness in her chest, the restless awareness, he simply walked in, circled once, and lay down beside her bed. Not touching, just there. She slept 4 hours, then 5. By the end of the week, she was sleeping through the night. She named him Ranger. It felt right. Strong, steady, loyal. Weeks passed. No one claimed him. Cassie stopped checking as often. And if she was honest with herself, she didn't want anyone to. Ranger had become everything she didn't know she needed. He gave her structure, purpose, something outside her own head. On the bad days when memories crept in sharp and relentless, he grounded her. A nudge of his nose, a quiet presence at her side, a reminder that she was here, now, safe. So when she decided, carefully, cautiously, to take him to the dog park, it felt like progress, a step forward. The park was busier than she expected. Dogs ran in loose circles, chasing balls and each other. People stood in small groups, laughing, talking, relaxed in a way Cassie still struggled to understand. Ranger stayed close at first, then slowly he ventured out, greeting another dog with a polite sniff before breaking into an easy run. Cassie watched him, a small smile forming. "You picked a good one." The voice came from behind her. Cassie turned instinctively, her body tightening before she could stop it. A man stood a few feet away. Mid-30s maybe, tall, solid, work-worn jeans and a faded t-shirt. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp in a way she recognized immediately. Military, or something close to it. Cassie nodded once. "He found me." The man smiled slightly. "That's usually how it goes." She turned back to watch Ranger, and that's when she saw it. A sign, posted on the fence near the entrance. Lost dog. Her stomach dropped. She stepped closer. Yellow lab, male, friendly, responds to. The rest blurred. The picture was unmistakable. Ranger. Cassie felt her chest tighten. No, 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 no. She pulled out her phone, dialed the number before she could talk herself out of it. "Hello?" His voice was steady, controlled. Cassie swallowed. "Hi, I think I found your dog." There was a pause, then sharper. "Where?" "The dog park off Maple." "I'm 10 minutes out." The line clicked dead. Cassie stood there, phone still in her hand. Ranger bounded back toward her, tongue lolling, happy and unaware. She crouched down, wrapped her arms around his neck. "Hey," she whispered, "hey." He leaned into her like always, trusting. Her chest ached. He arrived in 8 minutes. Cassie saw him the moment he stepped through the gate. His eyes locked onto Ranger immediately. "Buddy!" Ranger froze. Then his tail wagged, fast, excited, and he ran straight to him. The man dropped to one knee, catching him in a firm embrace. "Hey, you idiot," he murmured, relief breaking through his composure. "Where have you been?" Cassie watched, something twisting in her chest. Of course he had someone. The man stood, one hand still resting on Ranger's back. Then he looked at her. "Thank you," he said. "I'm Jack." "Cassie," she said. He nodded. "You took care of him." It wasn't a question. Cassie shrugged lightly. "He took care of me, too." Jack studied her for a moment, not invasive, not prying, just aware. "He's not just a pet," Jack said. Cassie felt that twist again. "I figured." "I train service dogs," he continued. "Veterans, PTSD, mobility support. Ranger was placed with someone. He got spooked during a storm and slipped his handler." Cassie's throat tightened. "He's already trained, already assigned." She nodded slowly. "So, he has to go back." Jack's voice softened. "Yeah." Silence stretched between them. Ranger pressed against Cassie's side briefly before returning to Jack. She didn't expect the emptiness to hit that hard. The house felt wrong again. Too quiet, too still. She made it 2 days before the night started unraveling. 3 before she stopped sleeping altogether. On the 4th day, she called him. "I can't give you Ranger." Jack's voice was gentle but firm. "I know," Cassie said quickly. "That's not why I'm calling." A pause. You said you train them." "I do." She swallowed. "Could you train one for me?" Another pause, longer this time. "Maybe," he said carefully. "It depends." "On what?" "On you." Jack's property sat just outside town. Wide open land, fenced areas, a modest house with a long gravel drive. Kennels lined one side, clean and well kept. Dogs barked as she approached, then settled quickly with a single sharp whistle from Jack. Cassie stepped out of her car, nerves humming under her skin. "You came," Jack said. "You said maybe." He nodded. "I did." They spent that first day talking, not just about dogs, about her service, her symptoms, the trigger she still couldn't control, the one she could. He didn't push, didn't pity, just listened. By the end of it, he leaned back in his chair and studied her. "I'll train you a dog," he said. Cassie exhaled, tension she hadn't realized she was holding slipping away. "Thank you. But," he added, "you're going to help." "With what?" He gestured around the property. "This." The work was simple but steady. Cleaning kennels, refilling water, light repairs, feeding schedules. Cassie found comfort in the routine. Jack was there every day, patient, focused, calm in a way that felt solid. He introduced her to the puppy a week later. A small golden bundle with oversized paws and bright, curious eyes. "This is yours," Jack said. Cassie crouched slowly. The puppy bounded towards her, clumsy and eager. She laughed, really laughed, as it stumbled into her hands. "Hi," she whispered. Jack watched her carefully. "She'll need a name." Cassie smiled. "Hope." Training took months. Hope grew quickly, her clumsy energy shaping into focus under Jack's guidance. Cassie learned alongside her. Commands, signals, reinforcement. But more than that, trust. With Hope. With Jack. There were setbacks, days when the noise in Cassie's head got too loud, when memories clawed their way back to the surface. Jack never pushed her past her limits, but he didn't let her retreat either. "You're stronger than you think," he told her once. She shook her head. "You don't know that." He held her gaze. "I do." It happened slowly, the way real things do. A shared laugh over a stubborn training session, a quiet moment watching the sunset after a long day, a hand brushing hers, and neither of them pulling away. Cassie didn't notice when she started looking forward to seeing him, or when his presence became as grounding as Hope's. But one evening, as they stood side by side watching Hope complete a perfect task sequence, she realized something had shifted. "You're smiling," Jack said. She blinked. "What?" "You're smiling," he repeated, a small grin tugging at his lips. Cassie touched her face, surprised. "I guess I am." He looked at her then, really looked, and something passed between them. Unspoken, but undeniable. The day Hope completed her training, Cassie felt a mix of pride and something else she couldn't quite name. "Congratulations," Jack said. "You've got yourself a service dog." Cassie knelt beside Hope, wrapping her arms around her. "Thank you," she said softly. Jack nodded. There was something different in his expression, quieter, more guarded. Cassie stood slowly. "What?" she asked. He hesitated. Then, "This was the deal." Her chest tightened. "Yeah," she said, "it was." Silence settled between them, heavy, uncertain. Cassie took a breath. "I don't want it to be just a deal." Jack's eyes lifted to hers. "Neither do I." They stood there for a long moment. Hope sat between them, tail wagging softly. Cassie reached out, her hand brushing against Jack's. This time he didn't hesitate. He took it. And for the first time in a long time, Cassie felt something steady and certain take root. Not just survival, not just coping, but something more. Something like hope.